Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode of No More Kids in Scientology. And in today's episode, you guys, we're going to be reacting to a video sent by one of our members that asked some very good questions that came up from a very, very sanitized false pitch put up by none other than Scientology themselves. So we really wanted to bring that pitch up so you guys can start understanding the level of cognitive dissonance existing in the Scientology parents, and also understand what really is behind this highly sanitized PR pitch from Scientology. This comes from literally Scientology's own materials that they produced. They literally have 70 views, so the video hasn't been watched. But don't forget that these videos are being used internal. Anytime that somebody wants to get recruited to a Scientology facility, they show these type of videos to really promote their performative philanthropy, to really promote that, you know, oh, they're very, very measured and they really are coherent people that we should be dealing with, to really camouflage the fact of what really is going on inside the Scientology hotels and commercial buildings. So right here is this video. So let's really pick it apart.
We all want our children to grow up to become happy, healthy, and successful adults. But unfortunately, kids don't come with an instruction manual.
So unfortunately, kids don't come with an instruction manual unless you join these hotels, where they're going to give you an instruction manual penned by a convicted felon, penned by a man that was dead set, obsessed with adulticizing kids and blurring all boundaries so that adults and kids could literally be spending their time inside the Scientology hotels and commercial buildings, getting abused, getting groomed by their own parents to the abuse. So right away, the first part of the false pitch is that they really want to have your kids grow up to become a contributing member of society and be really happy. No child that has been subjected to unthinkable, disgusting, extreme role plays inside of a hotel, placed there by their parents, placed in harm's way by their Scientology parents, is going to end up any of those things. But once again, is the delusions of grandeur, the delusions of these pitches that are really being used to, you know, sanitize this image of what goes on in the hotel. So let's keep looking at how they say to handle the kids.
Come on, Luca.
So most of us just stumble through, armed with nothing more than our good intentions and our hopes that it'll turn out okay.
Come here.
So most of us just stumble through, right? Scientology parents, you all just, you know, didn't want to stumble like the rest of the other parents, didn't want to use your own maternal and paternal instincts, which should have come with you. Instead, you relinquished your paternal instinct, you relinquished your maternal instinct, and you outsourced your parental adult choices to a convicted felon. How was that going to work out for you, Scientology parents? In what world were you all so pressed to do the bidding of a convicted felon pitching you A, B, C, D, E, F, G on how to normalize unthinkable, disgusting things that all Scientology parents were so in on normalizing at an industrial size scale?
But trial and error is not the best way to raise a child.
When are you going to start studying, girl?
I get to have a social life if I want to.
And the constant friction all too often leads to revenge or revolt.
What leads to revenge and revolt is being abused 24 hours, 365. What leads to revenge and revolt is being child trafficked by your own parents, putting you in harm's way, falsely pitching to you that you're really going to get helped as you're getting abused. So once again, this pitch of kids are going to become really revengeful if you what? If you treat them and you abuse them and you traumatize them. Scientology parents, write that on your notes. Because apparently all Scientology parents are running around like idiots, doing the bidding of a convicted felon, having no shred of critical thinking skills for yourselves, and ripping apart your paternal and maternal instincts as you outsource your parenting to a disgusting hotel staffed by randoms that get unfettered access to your own kids. So yet again, who put the kids inside of the hotel? Did the kids walk themselves, or were the parents, were the Scientology parents instrumental in having every single child that was made to sign a so-called billion-year contract to become a full-blown bona fide slave? Because yet again, we have to make this point, in America, running this campaign, Make Child Slavery Great Again, has propped up itself a loophole. This United States of America, let's really write on our Constitution that there's no slavery, and that's very highly illegal. But if a child goes to a hotel named Scientology, then the child can sign contracts as an underage kid to become a full-blown slave. So right about now, we need answers, because reality and the facts and the law and what's written doesn't make a shred of literal sense. But once again, here with Scientology parents really going with, oh, they're going to become very revengeful. Your kids are going to become revengeful if you abuse them, if you gaslit them, if you let them astray, if you told them that they could become slaves and it was in their best interest to be a slave. Once again, for you Scientology parents that were adults in adult bodies, y'all got off on being slaves. Good for you. Y'all got off on being traumatized and being locked up in these disgusting hotels, doing disgusting, unthinkable power dynamic role plays. You consented to that. You signed all your rights away to the hotel. Good for you. Glad that you can write a million success stories about how that's really great for you. So now explain yourselves how you becoming a slave was also something that your child was made to believe it was in his best interest, and having the age of consent to be doing that, to be being used, to be commoditized in that capacity. Because again, for the people in the back, grown adults, full-grown adults, ones that have developed their brain to have the capacity to read a pitch, in this case from a convicted felon, read it right there. Oh, look, it says I'm going to have no rights. I'm going to be tortured. I'm going to be abused. I'm going to get locked up. Oh my God, where do I sign? Where do I sign for that? No one could judge you if you were signing up for that as a full-grown adult. In what world were you, Scientology parents, bringing children in to your disgusting hotels, purporting that they're adults just like y'all? Because that's what in the hell you really need to set the record straight on right about now.
So how can we ensure that our sons and daughters will become confident, contributing members of society? How do we
make sure of that? By not forcing them into situations of which they cannot consent. That would be a very good start. That would be a very, very good start for you all that have read and listened and watched this pitch. If you were a Scientology parent that brought your kids in there and you saw this little film and you saw, oh my God, this is so great. This is how I'm going to really figure out how to not have revenge from my children. Let me put them up to this hotel. Let me have them get locked up. Let me have them get abused. Let me have them get tortured. Let me have them role play being a slave for unhinged degenerates that were dressed up in costumes, in literal cosplaying clown costumes, pseudo-military uniforms, wanting to be called sir, wanting to be called Mr., even if it was a woman. So by all means, Scientology parents, explain yourselves right now, because that would be very good for you to understand how that is.
How do we bring them up to be the best they can be? In other words, how do we train them without breaking them?
How do we train them without breaking them? I got an idea. How about read what the training states? Understand what that rhetoric being played out in the physical universe at its most extreme, since you were all Scientology parents, forced to have what? Blind allegiance to whatever in the hell the rhetoric said to do. Like complete bumbling idiots. You said, oh, L. Ron Hubbard said lock someone up against their will and keep them locked up. Okay, let's do that. That's going to be very therapeutic and helpful. Maybe it was for you, the grown adult that got off on that disgusting level of power dynamic imbalance. But you're going to continue to break kids, because the purpose of Scientology is to break the kids. The purpose of Scientology is not to help a shred of child. You're not going to help a child by abusing them. So all you idiotic L. Ron Hubbard, complete sycophants, out of your minds with adulation for a convicted felon, go double check in the mirror and look at your damn selves and see if your paternal and maternal instincts weren't stripped out of your brain with your consent to be turned into a full-blown child abusing degenerate. A carbon copy of L. Ron Hubbard is what these Scientology parents were signing up for. So whatever their personality was is irrelevant. The minute they signed off their child to a hotel, the minute they turned over their underage child's passport to a child trafficking executive like Debbie Cook inside of the hotel, they already were on their way to become carbon copies of the convicted felon that has been propped up and allowed in this United States to literally make child slavery great again, to really carve out a loophole where all the idiots at the IRS, where all the idiots at the judicial system go, but I guess they're practicing a religion, so I guess, whatever rocks your boat, Send your child across state lines. Send your child to international waters. Send your child to get locked up in a ship. It's a free-for-all for these disgusting child abusing adults. Let's make sure that's clear, because apparently it's not. In the year 2024, it couldn't be more unclear who the hell these Scientology parents have been and what they've been up to and how they've been breaking children by design, not by mistake.
Well, perhaps that's the problem. Children are not dogs. They can't be trained.
I mean, just let this image really settle in for you guys. With the literal, children are not dogs. Imagine you are a parent and you're so disgusting and you're so stupid and you're such a degenerate that you can't even see what's wrong with, oh yeah, children aren't dogs, for all of you who are wondering. What kind of idiotic stupidity is this? What kind of idiot puts a child in a dog house to make the pitch that children are not dogs? Imagine.
Trained like dogs are trained. They aren't.
I mean, I'm sorry to stop it, but I can't let go. They're not, children they're not dogs and are not trained like dogs. Meanwhile, what was the training from L. Ron Hubbard? The Pavlovian training that was very much dog training like. Bad boy, good boy, down stat, up stat. Do as we tell you, you get a little tiny treat. Do anything else, you get locked up. Do anything else, you get tortured. Do anything else, you get hit. Do anything else, they will throw their weight on top of you until they do. Until these kids do what the adults inside of the hotels are forcing them to do, given the fact that no child inside of the Scientology hotels for the 10th billion trillionth time could consent to what in the hell all the adult degenerates of these hotels that frequent the hotels, that are paid members of these hotels. Stop trying to save paid members of a hotel where, you know, all they have to do is sacrifice kids. All they have to do is look the other way when a child is being abused, when a child being audited, when a child being ethics handled, when a child being groomed on a disgusting course with dolls, so that they really get, you know, used to the abuses that are coming to them. Starting from a very young age is how they like it inside of the hotels.
Controllable items. Try to train, control, or own your child, and you'll lose their love forever.
Really? Because that's all Scientology ever did. Train us, force us, shoved us in those course rooms, forced us to be doing the grooming drills with the disgusting dolls. So congratulations, Scientology parents. Here you were being told what you needed to lose your children. And just like that, you idiots couldn't see through this pitch, because I guess, you know, the Scientology parents that were so goo goo gaga for Debbie Cook. Oh my God, Debbie Cook. I heard she's really great. I heard she's really wonderful. Was she really wonderful when Debbie Cook was trafficking kids, when Debbie Cook was locking their passports, when Debbie Cook was being told, oh, sir, guess what? It just came out that there's an out 2D. Remember, out 2D. What does the word out 2D mean? So just for the guys that are new to this and haven't figured out what this word means. Here. Oh, yes, Debbie Cook. There's a 14-year-old that, had an out 2D with an adult. And, they've been having an out 2D for the last 4 months. And, they've been doing it at the hotel, at this room, at the person's room. They were doing all manner of things like this to the adult. And what happened to the child, Debbie Cook, when you were told that somebody went out to the inside of your disgusting hotel? How did you punish that child to make it about them? To force them to take responsibility for a felony, a Class A felony perpetrated on the child. That's where the Scientology parents went and said, yes, you know who I really need to, get advice from and really put my child's passport in the hands of a disgusting woman that was, world renowned for being one that loved small, young kids working inside of her disgusting hotel.
A child is not a special species of animal distinct from man. A child.
So if you're a parent that needs to be told that your child is not a different species of animal, I mean, literally.
A child is a man or a woman who has simply not reached their full growth yet. So any law.
So right there is the soft pitch. Oh yeah, a child's a man or a woman. A child is a child. A child is not a man. A child is not a woman. A child is a child.
Which applies to the behavior of men and women also applies to children.
There you are.
For example,
I told you to wait in the car.
how would you like to be treated in the same manner a child is typically treated? What if you
In what world is Scientology really saying? Like, oh, look at this example of a child being treated like this. You wouldn't want to be treated like that. Children that are being abused are not having a good time at it. What you just saw this woman do is a complete wishy-washy version of the levels of power and disgusting power dynamic imbalances that play out in the so-called parent-child Scientology relationship. Your parents will use the F word. Stop fucking dramatizing. Stop fucking being out ethics. Get your fucking ethics in. The F word is a go-to for these adults. The F word is, just a little word that the Scientology parents, that the Scientology executives give themselves the liberty to use on children. To, what was it? Oh yeah, to really impinge is what they called it. So if the child's not listening to you and you tell them, come here, all you have to say is stop fucking backflashing and get your fucking ethics in and come here right the fuck now. So that's how Scientology parents can, including but not limited to, speak to their kids. And it's not like some parent is going to see this and go, oh my God, let me really call child services because I've just been seeing you abuse your child in front of me using the F word, verbally abusing them, sadistically abusing them. Oh yeah, let me really just call child services. All Scientology parents do the same exact thing. They're paying to become carbon copies of a convicted felon, L. Ron Hubbard. So before anybody wants to say they have no shred of a literal clue, double check if the Scientology parents had no clue before anyone else makes stupid statements like that. Statements like the ones that the corporate media has been putting out for years, purporting that the victims are all the adults that consented to be slaves for a disgusting, degenerate L. Ron Hubbard. So really do thank the corporate media, because that's their contribution to the story that they've grifted day in and day out.
If you were constantly contradicted and ordered about.
Mother, what do you think of this one?
They're both hideous. Too sad. Here, try this on. And please do something with your hair. You can't leave it hanging straggly like that.
And restrained from doing whatever you wanted to do.
Name.
Susan Witt.
You're not on the list. Step to the side, please.
If you were treated with the same level of disrespect the average child receives, you'd resent it. In fact,
The average child should not be getting abused. So it sucks to be you if you were a child that grew up with parents that were clueless, really needing a manual to outsource their humanity, because I guess their brains and their own personality do not come with paternal and maternal instincts. I guess nature didn't make the Scientology parents have those instincts. So they really went, oh, well, since I have no paternal or maternal instincts, let me really tap this convicted felon who really is going to give me the A through Z on how to do it.
you'd probably revolt. Well, it's no different for a child, except he's too small to strike back. So he gets revenge instead. He'll damage his possession.
So right here, you're also understanding and seeing how this disgusting man is pitching, projecting that the child is, gonna take revenge because they're getting abused. You're not taking revenge because you're getting abused when you are a child. Let's make sure that that is fully clear for these idiots that with a full-blown straight face post this on their YouTube channel so they really can go, oh, look, it's the child's fault, because really look at him being so revengeful, messing up his shoes because he's getting abused and abused and abused.
Sessions on purpose. Or pester you.
Mom, I'm gonna be late for the game.
Accidentally spill things.
Pester you. Imagine the mother is so disorganized. She's literally running late, and the child who has to be at a game has to go and tell the mother. But this is typical Scientology. Typical Scientology. These parents parent you to become an adult. They give you no other choice. They act like complete infantile degenerates. Proud infantile degenerates, no less. Oh yeah, L. Ron Hubbard really did tell me to behave this way. L. Ron Hubbard told me I was being a very good boy, very good girl by behaving this way. And that's all it took. That's all it took to run this disgusting level of abuse on kids inside of the Scientology hotels.
And generally destroy the peace of the home. This revenge is standard child behavior. Because
standard child behavior to revenge when you're getting abused. So, for all of those who are wondering if children are at risk inside of these hotels, leave it in the comments. Are children at risk? Are children able to consent to what in the hell these Scientology parents are having them do? Yes or no?
Because he's fighting for his own self-determinism, his right to make his own decisions about himself.
No child is fighting for self-determinism. You unbelievable, disgusting idiots. Let's just start with that one literal fact. A child is being a child. A child is developing. In what world is a child trying to become independent when they depend on their parents? They depend on adults because they cannot, due to the fact that their brains haven't fully developed, be independent and do their own thing. They don't even know what in the hell that means. They have no reality. They have no idea. So another false pitch from this disgusting Scientology promotion, targeting kids, targeting parents to really bring them kids because they're pressed for kids. Just like Debbie Cook used to love having underage kids service her. These are the level of disgusting child enslavers that this country has said you can be a child enslaver, and as long as you put a cross in the hotel, then the child trafficking is called a religious experience that child is having for themselves.
To get a better idea of this, the next time a child sits on your lap, notice how he'll sit there quite happily. Then put your arms around him as if he's being made to sit there. What will happen? Instantly, he'll squirm. He'll fight to get away, get angry.
I mean, this is disgusting. This is disgusting. I mean, again, it's like, oh yeah, put a child on your lap and really force him to stay there. I mean, do you have to teach basic humanity to these dehumanizers? Or literally what, you guys? What type of adult needs to be told? Remember, these are the adults we're talking to. This is a pitch for adults. So just before everybody gets very confused, this is a pitch for adults with fully developed brains. Allegedly.
Cry. Yet he was happy to sit there on his own before you started holding him. That's what happens when you interrupt someone's self-determinism. Your efforts to mold, train, or own your child react on her exactly the same way.
Well, Scientology parents were all about molding their children. So in what world are they saying, oh yeah, you really want to have self-determinism? And meanwhile, what is going to happen to that child? Once Scientology gets full unfeathered access to them. Glad that y'all asked. Because molding 24/7, 365 is all that's being done to a child inside of the Scientology hotels. They're being forced to become role players in a disgusting adult-only at best game, so-called audits. Let's really role play. You're my auditor. I'm your PC. Let's really, pretend that we're really saving a world by locking up a child in a hotel and these adults having their way with them under the guise of these disgusting audits that are literal extreme role plays. But you wouldn't know that if you heard the media, because all they talk about is like, oh, did you know Scientology believes about Xenu? And oh, well, I guess the Catholics really do believe in the Virgin Mary. So Xenu, the Virgin Mary, potato. Shut the F up already, corporate media, with your BS altered importance pitches that could have done nothing to save us when we were locked up, being abused by all of these enabled degenerates, that thanks to the media, that thanks to law enforcement, are free to abuse kids, free to help themselves, free to do whatever they want. And no one bats an eyelash. Literally.
The sweetness and love of a child is preserved only as long as she can exert her own self-determinism.
BS. The sweetness of a child is preserved when they can do their self-determinism. In what world a child is self-determined? Because that is how they adulticize the kids. Oh, you have to be self-determined. Oh, you really have to be doing things on your own. And they take that pitch to the extreme. You guys, they take it to the extreme. Scientology parents are not extremist. It's called radical extremist. Because that's who their daddy figure, L. Ron Hubbard, told them to be. Oh, really become an extremist if you want to be a good person. Well, double check on that pitch really quick right about now. All Scientology parents, current and exes, plenty of exes out there that are still playing dumb, that are still going like, oh yeah, but I thought we were going to save a world, but David Miscavige was ruining that opportunity for us. If only David Miscavige wouldn't have been around, wouldn't have made a shred of difference, because you would have been donating to the hotels where children were being trafficked, abused, audited, ethics handled, groomed through disgusting courses 24/7, 365, as it's the case in this year 2024, where there's not been a shred of protections erected to, help kids that aren't adults. Not one single bit of difference has taken place since Scientology's inception, since they're so very, very certain that they know what in the hell they're talking about.
A child has a right to self-determinism, his own power of choice.
And just like that is the bullshittest of bullshittest pitch from these people. A child has a right to his own self-determinism. What do you think Scientology takes away from you as a child when you become ensnared in this disgusting hotel, disgusting culture? Bingo. Self-determinism is what you don't have in the hotel when your passport's locked up. Self-determinism is what you don't have in the hotel when you're locked up with a self-admitted pedo. Self-determinism is what you don't have in the hotel when you're literally made to sign a contract to be a slave as a child. Now, self-determinism is what consenting adults do have when they sign up to be part of this disgusting, corrupt, child-abusing culture. So go figure with this false pitch about how we really want to have children have their own self-determinism. If a child goes in and complains about anything in Scientology, says, you know what, Scientology isn't for me because, the audits, I don't want to be locked up in a room with a random. Guess the self-determinism is not going to go very far for that child, because guess where that child's going to end up immediately next? Inside that room, getting interrogated by a disgusting person that's going to have, the right to interrogate them free willy-nilly for as long as they want to have their way.
If you take a child and make him play a musical instrument, his ability to play that instrument will not improve. You have to consult the child's willingness. He would at least have to agree with the fact that it's a good thing to play an instrument. Find out.
The willingness is what none of the Scientology parents ever considered of their kids. Scientology parents override your ability to consent, override any common sense boundaries that should be there. So once again, more of the false pitch right here.
Doubt what his own ambitions actually are. Maybe he doesn't even want to play the violin. Find something he's interested in and allow him to do that.
I got you, son.
If you don't interrupt his willingness to do it, neither will he.
Please. No way. That's awesome, Ron.
Now, of course, this doesn't mean we have to let kids run wild. Children need a certain amount of control. And they look to their parents for direction. If they don't get that direction, they'll think you don't care about it.
Well, guess what? Thanks to Scientology, the Scientology parents who outsource the parenting to randoms inside of a hotel aren't looking to see if your parent is going to give you any type of direction. You're being told, go to the ethics officer to really get direction. You're being told, go get an audit to really get direction. You're being told, go do a course, a disgusting grooming course, so you really get direction. So yet again, another false pitch here, pretending that Scientology really wants children and parents to be a thing, when what's really going on is these Scientology parents didn't want to have anything to do with their kids. They were outsourcing like complete, lazy, inept, disgusting parents. Parental duties, parental responsibilities, legal parental responsibilities outsourced to a hotel. How was that going to really turn out, Scientology parents? Because it's time for y'all to open your damn eyes. They're not glued. You were not children when all these crimes and all of this abuse against children was being committed inside of the hotels, as it still is. And there's not a single example of Scientology parents calling out the depravities that you all collectively normalized. So before you really want to go, oh, it's the people at the hotel that are the ones that have the problem, go look at yourself in a mirror. Because if you walked out of the hotel and you still haven't connected the dot and you still haven't stopped the disgusting abuse of minors that you know, witness firsthand, as if you didn't sacrifice your own kids to this, a lot of you, then you have done not even a shred of ethics change, and you couldn't be more part of the problem. You couldn't be more part of the nothing to do with me club, which was all Scientology parents literally put themselves. Oh, this has nothing to do with me. L. Ron Hubbard did tell me. Oh, Debbie Cook did tell me. Think about it.
The key to getting your child to do things without using force is communication. Again, consult their willingness.
Are you hungry?
The key to doing, your parents force you to go to these courses. And if you don't want to do it, they will lecture you for hours on end until you have no choice but say yes. So don't be fooled by this whole, oh, let's really communicate. Let's really use communication. Communication is a one-way flow inside of these hotels with these Scientology disgusting parents, who all they do is teach you words from L. Ron Hubbard, words that they can use against you to convince you that you are degraded, to convince you that you're low tone, to convince you that you're out ethics, to convince you that all the insults that L. Ron Hubbard made up, literally pulled out of his you-know-what, and that is what the Scientology parents are using. So before you think that, oh yeah, they really wanted to communicate with their kids, they were communicating in code. So they could F up their kids, so they could abuse them verbally through words that the convicted felon pitched to them.
Yeah.
Okay, can I borrow your helmet to make dinner now?
If you can get your child's willingness on something, they will happily do it. You see,
So once again, if you can get your child's willingness. Scientology parents pitched you, go get a session. You're going to really love it. It's going to be so great for you. Let's really get your willingness there. Why are they so pressed to want to do that? Glad that y'all asked, because that way they can pretend that it's you're in on it. So it couldn't be more ridiculous or disgusting, but yeah, give it to the Scientology parents to not surprise you whatsoever, because they are just literal copycats of a convicted felon that are running around enabled, completely out of their mind, completely cognitive dissonant, completely disassociated from reality and the facts of the physical present time universe.
children instinctively want to contribute to their parents because they know their parents do more to take care of them than they can do back.
And yet again, Scientology kids are always being told Contribute, contribute, contribute. And the reason that you're effed up is because you don't contribute enough to this family. And the reason that you're upset is because you don't do enough. Your exchange is out. You're a criminal. You're a criminal. L. Ron Hubbard says that if you're not exchanging, that means that you're a criminal. So children are being told that they're criminal, but leave it to this granola Fruit Loop presentation where, oh, look, the Scientology parent couldn't be more about doing the right thing. But it's all just performative BS.
I help you bake cookies. Yes.
Children are quite willing to work. A young child will haunt her mother trying to help out. Permit her to do so, and she'll get the...
Children are quite willing to work. Isn't that great, you guys, that these MFers sign up children on slave contracts, and all they have to do is go, oh, but they're very willing. They're very willing, so what's the big deal? Why is Serge so pressed about this? All kids were so willing. We weren't baking cookies. We were locked up inside of disgusting hotels with disgusting adult degenerates that did take it upon themselves to tell us every last shred of sexual fantasy they've ever had. Otherwise, it was our head that would be literally decapitated by Debbie Cook, by Richard Reese, by all the people that were watching the children and forcing them to take responsibility for adult, sexual, self-admitted perverts. So once again, this cookie example is nothing but a complete red herring to really go, oh yeah, but we're really just talking about kids and we couldn't be more granola. What do kids do in audits? What do kids do in the so-called disgusting ethics handlings? And what do kids do when they're getting groomed by disgusting courses? That's the answer that Scientology parents need to give the public with a straight face and stop hiding under the skirts of L. Ron Hubbard and each other. As if nobody has a clue what's wrong. That's what's wrong. That they all know what in the hell they did, that they all witnessed it, that they all participated in it, that they all enabled it, that they all co-conspired, that they all put money where their mouth was at the time and still is, because there's plenty of Scientology parent examples that are literally doing this to their kids as we speak.
Get the idea that her presence and activity is desired.
You're really good at this.
But the child who is not encouraged or permitted to help becomes convinced that her contribution is not wanted. And later on, she'll have definite difficulties regarding work and will actually get quite apathetic about it.
Close the refrigerator door, please.
If a teen is prevented from working, they begin to feel excluded from society. Not being a part of society, they begin to rebel against it.
If a kid is told their entire childhood that they are adults on the same term as adults, this is what would be happening. So miss us with the BS about how, they're really just rebelling because nobody put the child to work. Imagine that's what pitch these deranged Scientology parents really go, oh, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Therefore, as soon as a child is old enough to understand, it should be explained to them how the family operates, where the food and clothes come from, and so on. And they should be encouraged to help out.
I would like a cabbage, please.
Which one do you want?
They should be encouraged to help out. Yet again, you guys, like we saw with the Scientology mother, have the 2-year-old sweeping and mopping, have the 4-year-old washing the dishes, have the 6-year-old making dinner. I mean, what type of grotesque examples else does anyone need, as if this is not literally coming from the source of where the problem comes and starts?
Oh, that's a nice one. Good choice, always.
Let the child figure out for herself what her contribution can be,
Thanks, girls.
and then let her give it. A person feels able and competent only so long as she is permitted to contribute as much or more than others are contributing to her.
See, and that's what always Scientology kids get told. Oh, you're not contributing enough. You're not doing enough. What's wrong with you is that you're out of exchange.
Scientology contains a great many tools that will help any parent raise their child to become a self-determined, happy, contributing member of their family.
So once again, this is a false pitch. Scientology contains many tools. Tools? You mean audits? You mean ethics? You mean disgusting grooming courses? Because right there are your 3 tools, Scientology parents. Right there are the 3 tools that you were using not to make anyone happy. No child was being made happy by being locked up against their will. Let's make sure that that's clear. No child was being made happy by having to sit there and listening and having to solve sexual perversions that an adult is throwing up at them. So no child is going to be made happy by being abused. So let's make sure that Scientology parents write that and put it on their notes, underline it and underscore it. And then go to the pattern drill wall and sit there for 15 minutes and repeat that to yourself until you gain a shred of self-awareness, Scientology parents, because so far you have gained no self-awareness. So far, you're only playing dumb. So far, you're outsourcing all your parental choices and instincts to a convicted felon. So far, all kids are still in harm's way with no one giving a literal shred of an F.
There are even techniques you can learn to help your child recover more rapidly from their bumps and bruises.
Disgusting techniques like having disgusting randoms inside of a hotel say, feel my finger, to really recover from what? Why were we locked up inside of a hotel with a massage table with random adults getting full access to our bodies to tell us, feel my finger, and touching us all over on a so-called nerve assist? All of these bogus, disgusting, intrusive, inappropriate AF techniques that the Scientology parents are the ones that groom you to take it at the hotel. Remember, all the abuses that are being done to you in the hotel have already been groomed by your own parent. You already know about ethics. You already know about audits. You already know about assist. You already know about courses as a child because your parent forces that shit down your throat and tells you to really learn about this because you're really going to go free when you hear and when you do these disgusting things that are just full unadulterated abuse.
As well as from the fears and upsets that are so often a part of growing up. Raising children can be one of the most rewarding life experiences of all. With these tools, you'll know precisely how to bring them up to become productive, responsible adults.
Again, with the tools of Scientology, with the tools of audits, with the tools of ethics, and disgusting courses, which is what Scientology is. It's nothing else. So for all the people that still don't get what Scientology is those 3 things: audits, courses, ethics handlings. None of those 3 things can be happening in the context of underage kids. And the Scientology parents know this damn well. What type of degenerate do these Scientology parents have to really be to be sitting on that information, to be witnessing that information, to be witnessing child abuse right before their eyes, but, pitching, oh, I just want you to be very self-determined. Do you see how everything is sanitized with this complete and utter BS? That yes, as children, we didn't have the ability to see through the nuance of the false pitch. We could only hear this make-believe reality that our parents were pitching as they were putting us in harm's way, as they were normalizing disgusting abuse that they were all collectively partaking in, abusing kids, taking turns, paying to take turns to abuse kids, because that's what America, the United States of America, the Internal Revenue Service says is a very charitable thing that's going to really save a world and a planet. And it couldn't be more of a non-profit situationship. Well, double check on that, IRS, in this year 2024. Double check what type of shit is smeared all over your face. All the IRS agents that are sitting there typing their notes, typing, oh, you really owe us this much. You really owe us that much. Oh, you really can take $1 million off of you going and admitting to felonies inside of a hotel to a child, because as long as you admit it to a child inside of a hotel, those felonies can just float. Compliments of L. Ron Hubbard. Felonies float. By all means, I dare a United States Supreme Court Justice to explain to us in what world you have a country that allows self-admitted felons to float. Felonies that are being video recorded, felonies that are being fully self-admitted, felonies that are being transcribed, felonies that are getting monetized, felonies that are the IRS is saying, oh, you just paid $100,000 to explain the ABCDEFG of how you were essaying your underage daughter. Well, that sounds like you had a great religious experience. Let's deduct that off your taxes this year. Oh, sure. That's just a what you call it? Oh, yeah. Charitable donation is what the IRS is going with.
While giving them the freedom and love they need to participate successfully in the game called life.
I mean, grab your vomit bag and vomit, because there is what Scientology parents are endorsing. There you have what Scientology parents are doing to their kids. There you have what's underneath the very false pitch being presented to the public as if this didn't get put up by Scientology itself to promote that they want children in these hotels, that they want parents that will bring their kids in and ensnare them, because they're disgusting, at best, adults-only role-playing game. It's not complete if kids are not getting tapped, involved, and made to feel that they are contributing participants to the disgusting, deranged, degraded culture that plays out in these hotels under the complete false pretenses of self-improvement. The only ones that are saying that they're self-improving are the consenting adults that are paying to be part of this disgusting conspiracy that targets and abuses and victimizes any child that gets ensnared in any of these things that Scientology purports are very, very helpful. So once again, if you're an adult that gets off on being degraded, enslaved, humiliated, financially dominated, sexually dominated, all of that, as an adult, ain't no one coming to save you. No one gives a literal F that you as a grown adult are putting everything required to say you are all about that group. The fact that you're bringing your kids is what the F you need to wake the F up to. Scientology mothers, you've been warned. Scientology fathers, you have been warned. You are the problem. You are the who, and you are the why. I encourage all of you guys to subscribe, like this video, and I will see you all in our next installment of No More Kids in Scientology, period. Bye-bye.